says to her. I said that was, oh sorry.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another super episode of ARG Presents. I am Amigo Aaron, joined by a man who's every mother's nightmare and every schoolgirl's dream, the Brent.
Well, some of that's right.
That's right. Yeah.
Also, super episode, low-hanging fruit.
Well, I'd say,
low-hanging fruit.
Listen, I'm a low-hanging fruit picker, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, if you joined us last week, we spun the wheel, we made the deal.
Yeah.
And this week, we'll be playing things on the exciting, the incredibly popular, the Super Nintendo.
Yes.
Now, Brent, what do you know about Super Nintendo? You used to have one of these bad boys.
I did. Yeah, this is the system that I actually owned more than a couple games for. A Nintendo era, there was a lot of mom and dad renting stuff. Super Nintendo, I mean, I was still under mom and dad's care, so I had some games purchased for me.
I'm still under their care.
But I also branched out on my own a little bit. This was also the console where a bunch of my friends owned it, so we could swap games around. So it was good for a lot of reasons.
Now this console was much more popular in the States than it was overseas.
Except for Japan,
except in Japan, Korea,
right?
They were pretty popular there. This one, I'd say, was pretty much thoroughly trounced by the Mega Drive over there. And over here was actually pretty close.
Oh,
I mean, the Mega Drive jumped out to an insurmountable lead, but Nintendo.
And then as soon as the Super Nintendo released, it crushed it. Yeah.
So let's learn a little bit about the Super Nintendo, or the Super NES, or the SNES, however you want to phrase it. So this, of course, a Japanese console, was released in Japan November 21st of 1990.
Yes.
Now, it released almost a year later in the U.S. Of course, over in Japan, it was called the Super Famicom.
Of course, yeah.
And then in the U.S., it was Super Nintendo. We, of course, got the uglier, stupider-looking version of the Super Nintendo.
The purple button controller,
yeah.
I like the purple buttons, but I wish there were more than just two shades.
I hate the purple buttons, and I hate the purple switches. In fact, I just don't like ours.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I like the other one better.
I like Europe's better, but ours are okay.
More colorful. Anyway, so in North America, the Super Nintendo got a release on August 23rd, 91. Of course, the UK, all of Europe got it around April 11th, 1992.
Yeah.
So that was a year and a half or more after Japanese got their console. So it's quite a gap there. But of course, by the time they got it, there should have been a pretty good library. But I don't know how much of a difference that made.
They always get screwed. I mean, they're only one step up from Australia in that regard.
And I should mention that just because I like this, because both had one. In Korea, these were known, the Super Nintendo was known as the Super Comboy.
Makes you think it's a portable.
So, just for fun, Brent.
All right.
Do you recall the introductory U.S. price of this bad boy when it was released in 90?
$300.
No.
$250.
$199.
Wow.
In today's wad, that's $368. So pretty competitive price there, I think.
Yeah.
For that. And this thing ran forever. In fact, in Japan, they didn't discontinue this thing until 2003.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Now, you want to take a guess on the number of units sold worldwide?
Holy moly. I will say, I know
you're always horrible at these.
I'm going to say, I know whatever number I say is going to be wrong. I'm going to say 70 million.
You're wrong. So you were right. You were wrong. Almost 50 million. 49 million.
Well, that's
not
still
too bad.
Huge run.
And they sold over 23 million just in North America.
Yeah.
So a huge seller here and abroad. Now, the pack-in. Do you recall what the original pack-in was of the Super Nintendo?
Super Mario World.
That's right.
Yes.
And that probably didn't hurt. It sold
that's a big game.
Pretty darn good game. Now, so I've got the numbers here for what sold the best. Of course, there were 20 million for Mario Worlds out there. So,
but that doesn't count.
Right.
You can't count the pack.
So next in line, and this is funny because this is a game that sort of released later on in Super Nintendo's life, but man, it breathed new life into it. It was Donkey Kong Country, 9 million units.
Yeah, that was a huge game for it.
Super Mario Kart, which also had been a pack-in at some point. They had several of these packages, 8 million.
Well, so was Donkey Kong Country.
And then here's the one that near and dear, 6.3 million. Street Fighter 2, the World Warrior cards.
Which, to my knowledge, was never a pack-in.
No,
so
I don't think so.
That's a huge number.
I've got our original Street Fighter 2 cartridge in this arcade that I won from Brent when it was all on the line. But we went to the mall. I remember when we pulled money and got this cartridge, and we played the crap out of this back when you.
Okay, I have two stories because you didn't tell the "you want it" story correctly. I was so desperate for Aaron to play with me because he was a big brother jerk most of the time. I was so desperate for him to play with me that I would bet things, and that happened to be the cart itself was on the line. Also, shortly after getting this, Mom, Dad, and myself went on vacation, and I remember hating it because I couldn't. You and all your buddies were back at the house playing Street Fighter. Didn't you max out the wins and losses? We played
the heck out of that. And I will say, first of all, you fleeced me on these bets. Don't act like I took you to task. It's because he's a very good player. And secondly, me winning the cartridge was irrelevant because it just never went anywhere. It's where am I going to take it?
Well, no, that's not true. I didn't get to take it to college with me.
Yeah, but thank God because you got robbed.
Yeah.
So it worked out good.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, I want to talk a bit, because you have some experience with this, and we touched on this briefly. The Super Nintendo had a couple different networking services. One was only in Japan. It was called Satellaview. And then also the X-Band.
The X-Band.
And then, of course, they also had one called the Nintendo Power Link or something like that, which is also Japanese. But we had the X-Band.
Yes.
And you actually had the X-Band cartridge for the Super Nintendo, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, this used the cartridge and then the cartridge sat on it?
Yeah. It was basically a 56K modem. Oh, no, I don't even think it was that good. I think it was a 28.8 modem. Mm-hmm. And it was a call-in service that you had to connect to the X-Band service, which then matched you, which would connect the two people together for the game you wanted to play, and you played it that way. And my most played game on there was actually a game my buddy had, which was Weapon Lord. We played that to death because it ran really, really well.
I remember that game. Yeah.
Also, part of the X-Band thing was you could set up your profile to say different things, just like a normal profile you think of nowadays. But I would take articles from Nintendo Power or whatever game magazine was in my hands at the time, and I would type them into my profile. Now, you could only write like a paragraph, so I would write a paragraph one day, and then the next day I'd write the next paragraph, and people would come and visit my profile to read those stories.
You think they actually did?
Yeah. Oh no, because you saw like a who visited your page. Now I'm not saying I got thousands of users or anything, but I got dozens every week.
That's wacky.
It is wacky.
So a lot is known about Super Nintendo. It's sort of low hanging fruit. It's one of the most popular consoles of all time.
Yeah.
But I found some wacky facts that I thought I'd throw out there just for fun. So, we talked about the look of the American Super Nintendo. Mm-hmm. Well, the guys that distributed the American one saw the Super Famicom and didn't think it was edgy enough for the States.
So they made it
purple. Nothing's edgier than what they came up with, and that's why we got that one. Also, it's a little heftier. Now, there were only 3 games available when this launched. Can you name the 3 games?
Well, I know Super Mario World. So, or do you mean
no? That was one
for us or for Japan.
This is in Japan.
Oh, okay. Well, Super Mario World,
which that right there is one hell of a launch title.
Yeah, I have no idea what the other 2 would be.
You should, because they're both very famous, and one of them is a particular favorite of yours.
Okay.
The other 2 were F-Zero.
Oh, that's a good game.
And Pilot Wings.
Oh, that's a great.
Which I know you're a big fan of Pilot Wings. So, you ended up you don't currently have a Super Nintendo, do you?
I do not. It got stolen.
So you never got one back?
No.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So, I've still got mine. And they tend to turn yellow.
Oh yes, the plastic's in it.
That's right. So that's part of the chemical treatment on the plastic causes this thing to yellow with age.
Correct. And
mine is so ugly that I didn't even bring it on the show.
It was really bad. Yeah.
We decided,
it needs retrobraided really bad.
We decided that it probably was too ugly to actually use. So
and that's with us on the screen. So right. It's really bad.
Now a lot of people know this, but I thought it was something we probably ought to bring up. Nintendo originally contracted with Sony to make an additional CD add-on for the machine, and then Nintendo basically sort of screwed Sony, and they ended up going with like Philips or something, and it ended up not even ever coming out.
Yeah.
Now you know that some Nintendo games were released on the Philips CDI, which is a much less popular, less famous machine.
And big name games, Zelda's, Mario's,
horrible.
Oh, they're not good.
But part of that stems from the deal they made for this add-on that never actually came. There's Sony, and I who knows what their reasoning was for why they kept it going. I guess it's because they thought it was going to be the CD would work. That ended up becoming the PlayStation.
Yeah,
so
way down the line.
Yeah, so they inadvertently spawned their nemesis, effectively. So, with all that out of the way, we had a chance to look over the vast library of Super Nintendo titles. Now, we did pick Super Nintendo titles and not Super Famicom titles.
Yeah.
Because, hey, one of these days, the Super Famicom might appear on the wheel. You never know. And I think that's a fair deal. But still, the universe of Super Nintendo titles go on forever.
Yes.
And Brent, why don't you lead the charge this week? What did you bring to the table for the Super Nintendo game of the week?
I chose Uniracers, the unicycle racing game. Hey, this game has a lot of interesting history, so let me school you before we get to the game.
Okay.
Uniracers, Unirally over the pond, was made to directly say Nintendo speed can match Sonic.
Okay.
So Nintendo and DMA, who later became Rockstar and released GTA and all that good stuff.
Of course, they were a big Amiga performer, including Blood Money.
That's it.
When you think DMA, that's the first thing I think of. DMA design game.
Yeah, you can't not. It's been grilled into your brain.
They did a ton of great games.
So their whole thing was, we're going to make a game that's fast. And this game is fast. And when you really get your tricks going and get full speed, you basically can't keep track of what's going on. However, they ran into a little bit of problem. And it seems that Pixar, back in the 1980s, and this released in North America in 1994.
Okay.
But in the late 80s, Pixar made a short that was called Red's Dream.
Okay.
And it was a CGI film based on a unicycle who dreamed of being bought from the pawn store he was in and lived a life in the circus. It's only about a 4-minute film.
Clearly, Pixar got better ideas as they went on.
If you get a moment, it's worth the 4 minutes.
You watched it?
I did. But look for the one with the director's commentary. And the reason why is in that they don't go as far as to say this was nothing but a tech demo. But they say that all the scenes from it were meshed together, that were tech demos that they ended up meshing together to get a story made. The actual story itself, because they have a scene where it's raining, and the guy was talking about this rain scene was done by a certain person who was working on rain scenes and wanted to get his rain scene into a film. And then there's one with about lighting, the same kind of deal. But that's interesting. It's not like they struck this hard-nosed character that took tons of work into their film. It was kind of a lot of tech demos pushed together to tell a little bit of a story.
Okay.
Well, they sued DMA and Nintendo and said, your unicycle in your game is pulled directly from our unicycle in Red's Dream, and we demand that you stop making these games. And they won.
Who won?
Pixar won.
Really?
Yes, so Uniracers, they didn't have to give them any money. They didn't have to, license the character or anything like that. All they had to do was pull the game off of store shelves and promise to not make any more. Wow. Which is what happened. There are still 300,000
so it's not an expensive
game
title
out there. So it's not like it became super rare after that. But that guarantees it'll never be on a virtual console. It will never have a sequel made. Those things will never happen because of this lawsuit. And
I've never heard this one.
DMA, or I guess it was Rockstar at the time, and Nintendo got together later down the line. This was 15 years ago or so, and said, "Hey, why don't let's kind of get past this silliness. we like to put Uniracers on some home consoles, package deals. Can you kind of let this lawsuit thing go? And Pixar, even though they're owned by Disney now, we're like, no. We won that lawsuit. That game's never going to be released again. So it kind of screwed later generations. You have to play this through emulation, which it does emulate very well, or find a copy floating around and a Super Nintendo to play it, because it's never going to be released again.
Unusual.
And one of the guys that worked for DMA at the time said that the lawsuit was complete bull. It was complete BS, because they had actually bought a unicycle, and he talks about how they rode the unicycle around the office, and the walls in the hall were all messed up because they crashed it so much. But they wanted to kind of do the game right, so they that
sounds like something an old time developer would do. I love it.
They actually took the unicycle apart bit by bit, and in the game, even though you can't see this kind of detail, every screw hole, every thread that a screw goes in is in that character model. So it's not like they saw Red's dream and then recreated it, but a unicycle is a unicycle is a unicycle.
Yeah.
But the court systems were different back then.
Yeah.
And thankfully
they're not that much different now.
Well, that kind of abuse I don't think would fly today, but it's something that happened. Another thing that Uniracers is really famous for, besides the game itself, is its manual. And the reason why is Nintendo. This was back in the day when Nintendo had a really tight grasp on everything. Everything had to go through them for approval. And since DMA was working hand in hand with Nintendo to try to get this fast game made, they thought, you know what, we're going to try to make this manual a little more edgy, a little more fun, see if it'll get past Nintendo's Watch Dogs. And it did. Some of the great lines in it, the whole thing's great. Go download the PDF. Some of this stuff's hilarious. I'm just going to touch on a few. Hints and tips. Number 1, don't lose. Good place to start. But this is probably its most famous passage. I'm going to read this verbatim, or at least I'm going to try. Ever read a manual which has this page intentionally left blank, followed by a blank page? Well, we don't do blank pages, man. If by some bizarre quirk of a chance a blank page turns up, then by heck are we going to fill it, even if it means talking about pizza for a few paragraphs. Speaking of pizza, don't you hate those little frozen ones that are the width of a CD and about as thick, come packed in 10,000, and only ever seem to consist of mashed tomatoes with a single strand of something that might be cheese on top? But that's what you always find in the freezer compartment of the fridge, isn't it? That's why you should go out and get a deep pan, high cholesterol pizza the size of a satellite dish and just as expensive, so you know what you're missing. And this is in the manual of unicycles.
That is bizarre.
So, and the manual's full of that kind of fun stuff.
I love it. I love that.
So, now onto the game. Uniracers. No. Uniracers is a unique game that I think was so focused on being as fast as Sonic, they forgot to put in some of the more fun elements of being a game. Some of the more well-defined elements of a game. You, as one would think, are a unicycle, and you race.
That's what one would think.
Yeah. Well,
of course, obviously, you play a unicycle
in a game called Uniracers. What else is it going to be? Just a guy with a unibrow. So
I didn't think about that.
You take your unicycle and you race on a 2D plane that is just a track that goes left and right, does loops, has jumps, that sort of thing. Also has different aspects that are just get enough points doing tricks in a half pipe.
Yeah.
A lot of different races like that. And it is okay. It's not good. It's not bad. It's okay. This is a down the middle of the road type of game. The racing itself is fun, but you really have to memorize the tracks to get good. Because when you go down a path, you do a jump, if you don't know what's coming up, you don't know whether to slow down or speed up. Also, the track will go left and right just in an instant, and you have to actually change which direction you're holding on the digital pad to make that shift. Every time you do a trick, your unicycle gets faster, and top speed on this thing is so fast that it becomes unplayable unless you know exactly where you're going.
And there is no additional hardware in this, though, right? This is just straight up cartridge.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
There's no FX chip or anything.
Not that I'm aware of.
Because this thing, if they were trying to prove that you could make something go fast, mission accomplished.
Yes.
This thing goes fast.
And unfortunately, a lot like Sonic, where you have to memorize the stages, this game, it goes so fast, if you haven't memorized the stages, you're gonna fail.
Yeah.
The controls on it are pretty solid. I mean, the buttons do what you expect them to do. The problem is the graphics are bland. The backgrounds are just patterns of a solid color. The unicycles themselves look great because they're actually in the same CGI graphic realm as Donkey Kong Country.
Right, we've got a ray trace sort of
yes.
thing, yeah.
And they look great, and they're animated well, and they kind of dance around when they win, or they just fall over when they lose. They have character, which is nice, but the game itself, unless you were going to sit down and memorize the tracks, and there's tons of tracks, tons of tracks, you're not going to have fun with it. Because if it's something you pick up, you can play probably the first 6 or 7 races and do okay against the computer. But eventually it gets really, really hard. And it expects you to do tricks to go faster and make these snap turns. And if you aren't familiar with the tracks, you just can't do it. 2-player in this is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. Yes, it's split screen.
That was impressive, given the amount of speed that was going on.
Yes. The only problem with a racer like this is if you don't have 2 equally skilled people,
you'll never see him.
You might as well play single player. Now the tracks do loop. You do laps on them, which is pretty neat. But all that really means is you're gonna pass. If your buddy sucks, you're gonna pass him 3 times before the race is over and be done.
Yeah.
Something else that's kind of amusing about this is the name filter, because you can name your little unicycle whatever you want, and a lot of course names had to be filtered out, but some odd names were also filtered out, like face, head, ball. All these things aren't allowed. Also aren't allowed is Sonic and Sega, so a little poke there. And whenever you put in a name that doesn't make it through their filter, it says the name is not cool enough and we'll kick it out.
I love that.
So, a good little game, but this also has some unused sprites, some unused soundtrack songs. And the songs in this, the sounds are pretty decent. I mean, there's nothing mind-blowing. You don't see a lot of remixes of these tunes. The title tune is definitely the best. But again, it's middle of the road just like the rest of the game. What'd you think about it?
I had heard of this somewhere. Maybe even have seen it played. Because when it came up, I was like, oh, this game is a missed opportunity.
Okay.
First of all, I love the DMA guys.
Oh, yeah.
I believe they also, I think that was the same gang that did Lemmings. So we know they've got chops.
Mm-hmm.
Bland, you're right. And part of the reason is, and these traditionally, listen, let's just cut to the chase here. You're driving a unmanned unicycle.
Yeah.
It's lame.
Well,
no. It's lame. There's no one on this thing, and that right there, and just like the backgrounds, I'm gonna go on the assumption that to get this thing to go as quick as they did, they literally sacrificed everything.
Yeah.
You've got no mascot. You've got no one on the unicycle. It's not really going past anything interesting. It's just it's very tech demo-y. Okay. Now, is there a playable game there? Yes. If you're willing to sit down with it, like Brent said, and get into the tracks.
Yeah.
Is there fun to be had? Again, yes. Provided.
Limited.
Yeah. I played this thing for a while, and I got bored with it, and then I quit playing it.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Now, it didn't take a whole lot to figure out to get the taste of it, and I skipped through some different areas. The 2-player, I think, would be more fun, but again, it's one of those things where it's almost pointless in a way. I mean, yes, 2 people are playing at once. That's kind of cool. I think they could have taken this game, made it look better, given you a character, maybe given you a series of different guys to pick. So like Mario Kart, let you pick a different guy for your unicycle, upgrade your unicycle, have levels where the unicycle could, do unusual things. There were things in there they could do they didn't do. And so what you've got here is a very fast, very polished tech demo of a game that borderlines on fun.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ponder it, just as it is, it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
It needs a little bit of spice to make it marginally fun, and it needed a lot more work to be really fun.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair.
It's got, I will say, when it comes up and the way it's presented, it's got a very demo scene-ish feel to it. And what I mean, it's like if you follow us on Amigos or you're in any computer of the past where you had these groups get together and make demos, it was very demo-y feeling, which of course it's just too surprising.
And it had the DMA. It definitely had the traditional DMA select screen where it was your choices on a panel and a cursor on the side.
Yeah, very bland. That's what it says. Pretty.
Yeah, it was
pretty bland.
Yeah.
I expected more. The story was great.
Yeah.
I'd never heard any of that, so that was kind of cool. But DMA could do better.
They can,
and
especially with direct help from Nintendo.
And the thing is, you've got not only is you don't really have a main character.
Well,
you've got a scooter. I mean, the thing is, even the unicycle has no personality.
Oh no, I disagree.
It's not
with
a
that.
talking unicycle. It's not a clown unicycle.
No, I disagree with that. The unicycle has enough animations. I mean,
but
you can tell when it's happy. You can tell when it's sad.
It's not Billy the unicycle or Jumpy the unicycle.
Oh no,
it's just a unicycle.
It's a unicycle, and you pick
it's
your
a
color.
cartoon unicycle. Not good enough. The backgrounds,
those are the worst.
Nothing. Not good enough. Even the roads are just. I mean, again, you have fun. The half pipe, that was fun. It was sort of reminiscent, sort of like the early Tony Hawks. Mm-hmm. They were in 2D basically. You could do the tricks, sort of like playing like California games, half pipe or something. Sort of like that. But better. It controls fine. The unicycle hauls butt.
Yeah.
It just, for me, it didn't get there. Like I said, very tech demo-y. Not enough game there for me.
And you're
right. Once you get going so fast, if you don't have the tracks memorized either, you're screwed.
Yeah. And that's pretty much how it polled across the board. EGM gave it a 5.5 out of 10. Nintendo Power gave it a 3.425 out of 5.
Wow, that's precise.
Next Gen gave it 3 out of 5 stars. And it was pretty much, that's how a lot of people felt about it. It was middle of the road, and it get middle of the road scores.
Yeah,
so.
I agree.
Selling today, even though this is a game that will never be reproduced in any way, shape, or form, can be had pretty cheap. Loose carts sell for about $12. Complete with box is about $40, and brand new sealed is running about $100.
I will say this: as a rarer title, right? And one would assume it's going to be getting rarer.
It's not rare. No,
it's rare-ish. They had to stop making
300,000. Oh,
okay.
Okay.
I'm just saying. Follow me here. On rarer titles, they almost always are crap. If this is one you got, you'd be like, "Hey, this is less than crap." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he's got that going for him.
I mean, this is, and on rarity, this definitely kills Urban Yeti or Mini Golf.
Oh, this is way better. This is way better than that. By the way, we don't normally do user feedback, but since you mentioned that Mini Golf, we had a guy contact us on our YouTube under the video, and the price you quoted on Mini Golf on eBay, he was the guy that bought it. So one of the listeners to this show actually bought and owns a boxed copy of that game from Jay.
Of the worst game we've ever reviewed. That's awesome.
I thought I'd mention that since you brought it up.
That's awesome.
Yes, so Mini Golf, I'm glad to know it's in good hands. One of our people has it out there.
That's awesome. I love it. All right. Well, let's get on to the meat, man.
Killer Instinct.
Well, I don't know what that was.
That's the Killer Instinct theme.
No, it's not.
Oh, yeah, that's the way I do it. So, my game I chose this week was Killer Instinct, just like I've got. So, Killer Instinct was adapted from the arcade machine of the same name, and it's got an interesting story to tell as well. Now the arcade machine for this came out, and it's funny when you look back, you don't really think about this stuff. All the way back in like 1994. That's a long time ago. I mean, you don't think, it doesn't seem that long ago, does it? That something like that would have came out. So, Killer Instinct was Midway / Nintendo's sort of entry into the realm of the Mortal Kombat
of the 2D
fighting games. In the early 90s, these fighting games were all the rage. This is our time, wasn't it? This is our glory days. And Nintendo had to get, even Sega, of course, which we covered it. They had their fighting game, and of course, we had Capcom's entry. You know, and so you've got to have Nintendo's entry, and they ended up hooking up with Williams to make Killer Instinct. So. And it was developed by Rare, who you'll know they did a lot of
incredible company at the time.
They absolutely were. It made its North American release in '94, as in October 28th, so right before Christmas, and was released on the Super Nintendo on my birthday in '95, August 30th. So it's funny. You'd think I'd be better at the game than I am.
I don't think that makes you good at games.
So the backstory of this is it's a weird. You know, these things always have a crazy backstory, right? In this futuristic world, this one company basically there's like a mega core on the Earth, and the world's sort of jacked up. All right, the whole world's been kind of it hasn't been Armageddon, but it's like Armageddon Junior. Okay, and so this one outfit, Ultra Tech, has taken over most of the world, and so for entertainment purposes, they hold these Killer Instinct tournaments. Okay. And so it's true. And who wouldn't? If I was a megacorp, why isn't Apple doing this now? I can't figure it out.
Well, I mean, they kind of are. Have you seen some of their launch days?
Well, good point. So all the characters in this all revolve around that plot to a certain degree. So I'm going to go over the characters because they don't change between the arcade and the Super Nintendo version. I'm just going to go over what we've got here. So you got Orchid.
Yes.
Orchid's the hot chick fighter. And she's a government agent sent to infiltrate the tournament, all right? Then you got Fulgore, all right? He's this sort of, how would you describe Fulgore?
Android.
Sort of like
Predator.
Predatory looking, yeah. That's the best way to put it. He's an ultra tech robot, and they're going to use the tournament to like work out the kinks and stuff. And of course, he wants his freedom, so he wants to go to. Then you've got. Jago, or Jago, however you want to say it.
No one says Jago.
He's a monk. He's a monk with a funk. And he's here to test himself.
Of course.
In the tournament, because you know how the monks are. Here's my personal favorite, TJ Combo. What a name. That's a real name, folks. TJ Combo is just like a African-American boxer with like a Rocky 3 get-up.
Yeah.
And he's a disgraced... Now get this. Did you know his backstory?
Yeah.
He was a disgraced former world boxing champion. He got kicked out because he had cybernetically enhanced arms. That's not fair. Even today's boxing commissions wouldn't allow that.
And a little plaster of semen in the gloves. That's okay.
Yeah, no kidding. So you've also got Cinder. All right, he's an ultra tech criminal guy, basically. So Cinder, how would you describe Cinder? He's sort of
he's Flame On.
He's a Human Torch.
Yeah,
basically.
He's Flame On from the Fantastic Four.
Then you've got Spinal. Spinal is this animated skeleton, allied Jason the Argonauts, and his gimmick is he was revived by Ultra Tech. He's one of their minions, and everything's involved. These guys are in everything. Then you've got Riptor. He's sort of like he's sort of like a lizard, dinosaur alligator man. You know.
Like a raptor.
Guess who made him?
I'm going to guess Walmart.
Ultra Tech.
Oh, so close.
Now, Glacius is just sort of a frozen beast guy.
Yeah.
He is an alien. Did you know that?
Sure, why not?
Guess who captured him?
I'm going to say McDonald's.
No, it was Ultra Tech.
Ultra Tech, darn it.
No.
I'm horrible at this.
Now, here's my guy. Big Chief Thunder. I like the Chief. I'm a big fan of the Chief. He's in there. He's lost his brother. And so he's going to use this tournament to help find his lost brother. Hey, why not? That's when someone goes missing, the first thing I do is join a fighting tournament. Then you've got Saber Wolf. He's a werewolf, y'all.
Yep.
A werewolf, man. What's he in this for? Find a cure for being a werewolf. What else? That's what I would do.
He's going to use his werewolf properties to find a cure for being a werewolf.
That's right. And
Makes
then if those are all the playable characters. Now,
well,
then you've got the main boss.
Yes.
Because you got one. Idol.
Yep.
EYEDOL.
Yep.
Idol. What is he? A demon.
Yep.
Two-headed demon.
Huge club.
Not happy. So, you're probably thinking to yourself, what a colorful cast. And you're right.
Yeah.
Now,
it's a real good cast.
Who did we say made this? Rare.
Yep.
So, this isn't going to be some sort of pixel gimmick. This is some ray traced ultra tech. I'm sure they were involved.
Yeah.
So, if the graphics in this thing, they're all nice and smooth and ray traced and beautiful graphics. The backgrounds in this thing are unbelievable.
Yeah.
The werewolf has like this haunted house, which is awesome. They've all got these awesome, background.
Well lit.
Fulgor's up in this like Arctic, and there's some guys. I think it's Cinder's home base is on top of that building. I believe that's his. And TJ Combo's in a boxing gym.
Yeah.
And when you're wailing on each other, the whole background shifts. It's real nice and smooth, and it's got depth. And you can like throw guys back and forth, and stuff will shake in the background. So it's real, super nice music, top shelf, which I'll get into more in a moment. But it's awesome tunage. Now, you're probably asking yourself, well, this sounds a lot like Mortal Kombat. Well, you're right, but they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it that way. This is the Nintendo Rare combo. They're going to do something different. So this game is based on the wackiest combo system of all time. Why'd you say that for?
Go ahead.
So so let's talk about this combo system. Each of these characters has a set of moves they can do that you can do on the joystick in a row to chain combos together.
Well, it's sort of like that. It's actually based on your what strength of attack you use crossed up. Like if you go with a medium punch and follow it up with a heavy kick, that will do a combo.
Right.
And you chain those combos along with your special moves to get really long combos.
Guess who's better at this game than me? Brent. Which is funny because he's the ultra master of this game, but
I'm really good at this.
Yeah,
game.
he's a real good.
I'm not nearly as good anymore.
So if you get like 4 combos together, there's an announcer.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, ultra combo, mega combo, hyper combo.
There was no mega combo.
Well, you know what I mean. He'll announce what your combo is. Now, when you're getting comboed, you're almost boned. The only way you're not boned is you can use the combo breaker.
Yes.
Each guy has a special joystick button combination. If you hit it at the right time, they'll break out of these combos.
Yep.
Because trust me when I tell you this, if you go to the arcade, this is one of the most frustrating games of all time to learn.
Yeah. Oh, it's not. If
you walk into an arcade and you're like, I'm gonna take on this guy, and he could beat you in like 2 seconds, basically, with a combo move. I believe the best combo get was an ultra, and when he gets it, he goes ultra, and
that's the finisher combo.
Yeah, it kills you. Also, like we should mention, like Mortal Kombat, there are finishing moves in this game. I seldom ever saw them, to be honest with you. They weren't as prevalent as the ones you see in like Mortal Kombat.
Here's the thing: you could do ultra combos before the match was actually over. When their life got to like 1/8 life and was flashing red, you could hit an ultra combo in the middle of a combo you were already doing, and that combo would instantly kill the person. The combo would follow out automatically, and then the other person would be out. So you didn't see a lot of finishers because if you were up against someone who was good and you just wanted the match to be over so you could win, you would do your ultra combo as soon as you could to finish the match
if you knew it.
Well, now I would assume that you did.
One thing that was kind of nutty about this game is when you beat a guy down and the guy basically announces it's time to kill your opponent. You don't have to do anything. And that person that's gotten beat down can like go bananas on his buttons, and they can wake back up.
Yeah.
And if they're at this point, that one hit kills them.
Yes.
One hit it finishes them. But
even
you can actually
block damage, even chip.
If you're trying, every once in a while, a guy will be over trying to do something awesome, and he won't get it off, and you'll wake back up, and you still got a chance to win. Which I always thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah. The main use of that is if you've got someone, because in the arcade at least, the screen would scroll out to like 10 or 11 screen lengths.
Yeah, that's something else. This was awesome. It had like a scaling a la Samurai Showdown.
Yeah.
It could go way back.
So
I distinctly remember on Big Chief Thunder has like his home
his
base
board
is this
is
rope
huge.
bridge, and you
Yes.
could back way up to see this canyon. It's real awesome in there.
So if your opponent throws a fireball and kills you with a fireball, and then is trying to get over to you to finish you or something, you can wake up, fairly easy. It takes a lot of wiggling and button presses, but in situations like that, you can almost always break out of it.
So this game, one thing that we have to mention about it is that when you watch this game without playing it, you would see a commercial or basically an identifier that mentions something called Project Reality.
Oh, yes.
Right? And so what they were talking about, what basically, in a roundabout way, Killer Instinct, the hardware in it had sort of been planned to be used for a Nintendo console.
Yes.
To a certain degree. And it was supposed to be what the N64 ended up being.
It was, yeah. The Ultra 64, which was what the game actually advertised at the time, is what the N64 ended up being. And the original plan, at least this was my understanding, was the Killer Instinct arcade game would be able to be a one-for-one translation onto the system that they were building. That did not end up being the case.
Right. So, but that's something that's sort of famous for. And people would talk about it. They'd be like, "Oh boy!"
Yeah, it was a huge deal. I mean, you would actually have people stand around. Someone would come up and get like, "Hey, can I see the Ultra 64 thing?" And people would be like, "Yeah," and like sit around for a few moments and let it run.
Yeah. So something else that probably isn't that widely known, but it's kind of neat since we know it. The original Killer Instinct in the arcade was the first arcade game ever released that had a hard drive on it.
Yes. Because it was huge.
Massive game.
It had
just the backgrounds alone were immense.
Well, it also had
and all that digitized music and sound.
Full CGI character blog opening things.
Yeah.
As well as opening versus scene movies, as well as endings.
Yeah.
I mean, the endings and the character things were kind of crap, but they were
pretty awesome at the time. Something we
remarkable.
should mention that unlike say a Street Fighter, this game the health bar worked in a different way.
Yeah.
You would lose your entire health bar and you would fall down. Then you would get back up, and to lose the game, you had to lose all your health bar again.
Yes.
Now, one of the neat things about it is if you could beat an opponent without getting hit or without losing all your health bar,
Your first bar.
you would get a special video that would appear. It'd show your character. Look, like I used to play the chick all the time, work it. And so she'd be like, "Oh!" and she'd do this little dance.
Pat her butt.
She'd smack her own butt,
Yeah.
which was super sexy at the time, But I know Spinal would he would smack his sword with a shield and go, that kind of stuff. So, or some people would just growl, and some would take, they did different stuff.
Yeah,
but it was a neat gimmick.
Everyone had their own thing. Also, if you could beat someone on your first health bar, you could do a humiliation, which was a finisher. But instead of killing the person, you made them dance.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No,
yeah.
I've not seen that. That's great.
And you're like, because like Orca's like, dance! And points her little baton down, and your guy will boogie for a few minutes, and then the round will be over. And it will say humiliation.
Clearly influenced fully by the Mortal Kombat.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, I will say this. And what really separates this game from Mortal Kombat is the combo system.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But the look and the look of this game is I don't think there's been anything like it, including the sequel, I might add, which we'll get to. So
I'm sorry for that.
So this is the arcade game. Let's flash forward. It's time to port this thing to the Super Nintendo, right?
Well, and it was never supposed to get in a Super Nintendo release.
Sure, but it was a popular game. It had to go.
Yeah. And
so they did the improbable for sure, which is release this on the Super Nintendo. Now, what you get on the Super Nintendo is a fairly faithful rendition with everything brought down. Resolution brought down, colors brought down, video, animated CGI stuff all gone, all that gone. But they have still shots of it, that you could use. They had most of the music gone, which they worked around. But It kept all the characters. It also got rid of some of the moves. For example, the shadow moves come to mind. That you in the arcade you can do this thing where you're like, I think Cinder does this one because off the top of my head where they would.
After you break a combo, you have the ability to do some of the shadow stuff.
Yeah,
and it was the same move. It was a little stronger and it had a different animation.
In the arcade, if two fireballs hit each other, if you blocked it, they'd be this awesome sparks and stuff.
Yes.
That was all that sort of special effects stuff was either gone or reduced.
Yeah,
but the end result was a pretty playable rendition of the game, right? I mean, it kept the combo system intact. You kept some finishers, I believe.
All the finishers made it.
I don't know if the humiliations were they in there.
Yep.
It was a pretty good, albeit watered down version of the classic. Now, what's neat about it is, as I mentioned, the Killer Instinct had some just awesome tracks, some musical tracks.
Yeah.
So what they did was when you I believe it was the first 100,000 of these that were sold or something.
It was the first run
that you would get a disc called Killer Cuts, and it was a CD that had the music from the arcade.
Yeah. Well, it was not just the music from the arcade. It was the actual tracks that the arcade music was based off of.
Yeah.
Because Orchids, for example, is a lot more singing, and the tracks were based off that in the arcade, but these were the actual tracks.
Yeah, they were. I mean, it was great. This is one of my favorite discs.
Incredible, yeah.
If you just like, and again, this isn't like
it's
chip tunes or anything.
No,
but I mean,
techno.
If you like the music in the arcade, because it was really upbeat, fun music. And one thing you could say about Killer Instinct, whether you like it or not, and to be completely honest, hand on the Bible, I'm not a big fan of the combo system. I'm not. It's because I can't do my usual cheeky, cheap garbage in it.
Yeah,
but. The look, the feel, it's unique among fighting games. I can't think of any fighting games that even try the same thing. Except for the sequel.
A modern day equivalent of the combo system would be sort of the Marvel Versus or the Capcom Versus games. They had the same kind of really lock you in combo stuff. A little more advanced, but still, it was do the movements right. You can lock someone into a combo for basically ever, unless they use a power bar and break out of
it. But the CD was great, great disc. I did read it. It's 100,000. The first 100,000 in the U.S., the first 20,000 in Canada. All got the CD released. I guess in Europe you're boned on it. Believe it or not, they actually also poured this thing to the Game Boy.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that.
That had a lot of limitations.
It was missing Cinder and Riptor, and the movies and all the other stuff were smushed down. But still pretty cool. And also...
It was not pretty cool.
Well, I mean, that they even attempted this.
No, it was a money grab. It didn't have enough buttons. The combo system was really simplified. The game was a money grab because it should have never been ported to the Game Boy.
Hey, got to make that cash. It was a hot title,
dude. I owned it, so I know.
But the Super Nintendo version, I give it pretty high marks, and it was a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
But just for FYI, who was your favorite character in this game?
Orchid.
Yes, that's who I like too. Now, but I do like the Chief.
My secondary would probably be Jago, just because he is so unorthodox compared to everyone else.
I hate fighting him. The computer's playing him. He's a real stud.
So I was a big Saber Wolf.
Yeah. This game did real well when it reviewed on the Super Nintendo. CBG gave it 93%, EGM 7.75 out of 10.
Which that's embarrassing. That's so low.
Nintendo Power, this is a surprise, 3.425 out of 5. Are you kidding me?
That's ridiculous.
Is that the same score that
it is?
What were they smoking over there? And so this game, since it performed well in the arcade, it performed well at home, we've got to release a sequel. Yeah. And it was called Killer Instinct 2 in the arcade. Now, I think sequels are often surpass the original, often.
Certainly.
And I'll go with Mortal Kombat 2.
Street Fighter
2. There's plenty of these. However,
Samurai Showdown.
You want to talk about the game that killed the streak. I don't know. I've never met a single person that preferred Killer Instinct 2 to Killer Instinct 1. I didn't like it at all.
No.
I didn't like any of it. I hated the new characters. They looked weird.
Yeah.
They
look plastic.
It should have been better. Yeah. It should have been better. And then Eventually, Killer Instinct 2 got translated to the Nintendo 64 as Killer Instinct Gold.
Yes.
You remember that? Which I didn't like that either, to be completely honest with you. I really think that the Super Nintendo version is the home version to have.
It is.
Short of emulating the Killer Instinct 1.
Yeah.
It's hard to put my finger on what I didn't like about Killer Instinct 2, but I mean, the new characters, I hated them. They took the old characters and sort of reimagined them, and I didn't like that either.
Nah.
I just didn't like the backgrounds. I didn't like the way the computer played it. It didn't have good music. It was just, I thought it was a dud, a big old dud.
The flow was certainly different. I gave it a ton of chance because
I know, and you were real excited about it.
I really wanted it to be good, but this was something where they captured lightning in a bottle with the first one. It was something that they had obviously had high hopes for, but it way exceeded expectations. And I think with the second one, they wanted to keep it samey, but they didn't keep it samey enough. I mean, you either have to make a completely different game, a new updated version of the game, or make it like the old one with more stuff. This was somewhere in the middle with power bars, which were a big thing at the time. And the controls, the movements weren't the same. They were really awkward, and it was just no good.
And it really was. That's the end of Killer Instinct until recently, where it came back on the Xbox One with a whole new. Which I'm not going to go into that because I've not played it, but it's a whole new thing, and I've heard mixed reviews.
It's okay.
So get this. So Killer Instinct 1 for the Super Nintendo eventually sold 3.2 million units.
Yeah.
For a fighting game, that's a darn good number. You know, that's not named Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
And it sold 150,000 copies on release in the U.S. Yeah. That's incredible.
I mean, actually, I'm surprised it didn't. And that's opening day. I'm surprised that number wasn't higher. I know this released close enough to the arcade release where people were still playing it in the arcades. So...
yeah, it's an interesting game. Again, it's funny because I'm going to put this game over, but
you hated it. You've always hated it.
I love it, except for the fact I'm not good at it, and the play system is the combo system is not easy to learn.
You have to learn it. Yeah,
you do. You really do. So on eBay, as you can imagine, these aren't super hard to find. You can get a Killer Instinct cart for $10 to $13 loose.
Yeah, a lot of them out there.
To get a complete one with the box, $50, and then if you want one with the box and the CD, you're going into the $60 range.
Yeah,
and you want the CD, although it is available for digital download if you go that route.
Go get it, guys. It's really good.
You know, and while we're on the subject, just for fun, I looked up to see what a Super Nintendo was going for. Loose, you can get one pretty reasonably between $35 and $55.
Yeah, there's a lot of those.
If you want one in a box, you're looking at $150 to $200. Now get this.
Wow.
There was a Killer Instinct bundle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I saw one for sale. If you want the Killer Instinct bundle complete in box, that's a Super Nintendo Killer Instinct, a huge box. You're looking at $300+.
And that's no CD.
On that one. So overall, both these games probably could have been better, but I think one was clearly the right choice.
I mean, I think Killer Instinct was as good as it could possibly be.
Yeah, I agree. And
Uniracers could have been so much better. And you know what? It's kind of sad we'll never see a Uniracers 2. So
I'd like to see somebody taken that engine and done something with it.
Yeah,
but we'll
made
never
a game. Yeah.
So, you know what time it is.
Oh.
Hit the music.
Yes.
Don't mind that.
Break the wheel.
So, Brent, what do we add this week?
We added the Game Gear, I believe.
And we also put down...
oh, the Atari ST.
The Atari ST. Now, Brent,
we realized we had a repeat on the wheel, so we had to correct it.
So, Brent, I'm going to let you spin the wheel and make the deal this week. All
right.
So, go to work, sir. Go to get hard shut. And we're off. You know, it's funny. You think they would be much louder on the show.
Yeah, well, it's behind the mic. So we got... oh, no.
What'd you get?
Oh, no.
What'd you get?
Action Max.
Oh, yes, finally. My God. The highly anticipated Action Max episode next week. I can't believe it. This has been requested over and over. Where's the Action Max? When are we going to be seeing the Action Max? Are you going to expand and expound on the Action Max? The answer is yes. Next week, all Action Max all the time. Also, you will see an Action Max right here on this table. It's amazing. It's amazing. Tell the people what you think of the Action Max.
I'm excited.
Don't listen to him. Listen, you're gonna drive down views, my friend. You gotta get that. You gotta get your excitement. Have you ever played once with the Action Max?
I have not, but I know what it is.
It's gonna be awesome. Tune in next week for an Action Max episode. And until then, see you later, dudes.